gum.
Snap out
Your
of
phone off there, Ted? I'm getting rid of my gum.
Does it feel better here? Not so hot?
Now it's off.
Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting of January 28th, 2016. Let the record show that Commissioner Wooster and Alared and McLaughlin are here, and Lisa and David we knew they weren't going to be here today. Would you now join with me for a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Are there any agenda changes?
No.
Okay. Our next item is a public comment period. If there's someone that would like to address the Planning Commission on a land use issue that is not on our agenda today, now would be your opportunity. Okay, seeing no one come forward, then we will move on to the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from September 10th, October 8th, November 19th, December 10th, and December 17th of 2015. Are there any revisions, corrections?
Not here.
Yes. I gave some typos to Annette, but there's one that is more substantive.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I think the appropriate way to do this would be to pull that item from the consent calendar, act on the other ones, and then discuss that one item. I think it's item D1. Was that the, which date was the?
Did you have your substantive comments,
Yeah,
Kelly?
it was December 17th.
Okay, so yours,
minutes. I mean, I can tell you what the issue is, and then we can do it later, however you want to proceed.
No, I think if you we pull D5 from the consent calendar, take a motion to approve the rest of them by consent, and then we'll act on, and then we'll discuss D5.
okay. So is there a motion to approve D1 through 4?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, all in favor. The only thing I would say is on D1, which is September 10th, is I would like to, and I don't know if we have to do this separately, abstain from that since I wasn't at that meeting. Logistically, how do we handle that?
I'm sorry,
good
Tom,
question.
I didn't hear you.
I was not, I wanted to abstain on September 10th. I was not at that meeting.
Oh, did I put that you were there?
No, I just don't, I want to abstain on the
Oh,
vote.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Problem is,
So
if
should we
you
pull that one too?
abstain, then you can't act.
We have to do it separately then, right?
Should we just pull that one too and do it separately?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we would have to, if you abstain from it, then we don't have a majority, so it'd have to be carried over to the next meeting. But you weren't here, so let's pull D1 and D5.
Okay.
So then the
Motion would be for D2, 3, and 4.
So moved.
Ted, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
We'll continue D1 to the next meeting when there's a full board.
Okay. So then we will discuss D5 and the comments that Kelly has.
Are we ready for that now?
I think we are.
Okay, the only question concerns the redone resource production element, which is attachment A to the minutes. And on page 6, policy 2.8, dealing with solar energy installations. I had thought we had revised that.
In what way?
I thought we revised it to read as follows. Solar energy installations shall be compatible with agricultural activities and such facilities shall not be located on prime agricultural land and shall not reduce the production of the primary agricultural products.
I don't recall, but I mean, I'm fine with that edit.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
So,
Maybe it would be better to go back and listen to the tape to make sure that, I mean, it's possible that we missed that edit. And it may be that we discussed it, but then there was no motion made to actually make that change. I don't remember.
shall we go back and,
Should we
And then
continue this one to the
revisit it?
next meeting? We can listen to it and then see what the edits.
Fine.
sounds good? Okay. All right. So next is our public hearings, and the first one, the appeal with Verizon Wireless has been continued, is that correct?
That is, well.
We need to
the-
continue it?
Yes, they've
Okay.
requested continuance. The appellants have agreed to that. We do not have the information necessary, so we would need to have a motion to continue it
To February 11th?
to February 11th. Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to continue this item until February 11th. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Now I've buried my agenda. Okay. Next is our second public hearing, which is 2014-028, conditional use permit for Burson Market. The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit for the purpose of installing a new fueling station with a canopy to an existing neighborhood market. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Darcy.
Good morning, thank you. Darcy Gallart with the Planning Department. Before you this morning is a conditional use permit for the addition of 4 fueling stations, which would accommodate 8 gasoline pumps, a canopy, which is approximately 1,380 square feet in size, and 2 12,000-gallon above-ground tanks that would store the fuel. The location map before you on the screen, it is located at 3185 West Highway 12. It's on the corner of Highway 12 and Burston Road. Before you on the screen is the most current aerial that we're able to obtain. So as you can see, right here is an existing awning, the mini market that's there right now, and a residence. This used to be a landscape supply business that moved several months ago, just down the road. And then there's some other just miscellaneous buildings that have been on the site for a while, some shed structures that we'll go over in a little bit in terms of what's being removed and what will be retained on the site. So a little bit of background, which I just talked about. There's a 12,000 square foot neighborhood convenience store on the site. Attached to that is a 1,200 square foot residence that's utilized by the owners of the store. There's various outbuildings and structures on the site. There's also some fencing internal to the site and some that's surrounding the outside of the site as well. And as I said, adjacent to the convenience store on the same parcel was a landscape supply business. So before you on the screen right now are the various structures and trees that are proposed to be removed to accommodate the addition of the canopy, the parking, landscaping, pavement, that sort of thing. So the X's indicate structures. There's 3 trees to be removed, 2 cedar and a walnut. I'm sorry, 2 walnut and a cedar. These are not protected trees. They don't require any type of a mitigation. There's also some fencing that would obviously be removed to accommodate improvements that are proposed. So I'm going to break down the presentation in the various sections, kind of like I did in the staff report. So for the fueling pumps in the canopy, we're talking about 4 fueling stations. Each fueling station can accommodate 2 vehicles. It's a total of 8 pumps. 2 12,000-gallon above-ground fueling tanks. The canopy The canopy itself is 15 feet from the ground to the underside of that, and I have some visuals that we'll be able to see. And then there's 3 feet of fascia. So it's presumed that that fascia would ultimately have signage for a future retailer of the fueling station. At this time, I don't believe there's been a retailer chosen, but when there is one, they will have to come forward for a sign permit that would go through the building department and the planning department. So on the screen, what you'll see is the canopy. So what we have here is the ground. We've got 15 feet from the underside and another 3 feet of fascia that goes all the way around. And we have our fueling pumps here. In terms of lighting, the canopy, and I'll show you on a visual in the next one. The canopy itself will have 6 flush-mounted lights that are going to be mounted on the underside of the canopy. The photometric plan that was provided indicates that the most intense light will be directly underneath that canopy area, and then as you move out towards the property, that light gets dimmer and dimmer to ultimately at the property lines. It's almost a zero and no spill over onto adjacent properties. But as we're all kind of familiar with gas stations, they do have a tendency to have some excessive brightness and glare. So we have added a condition of approval that these lights be recessed into the underside of that canopy or individually shielded. There's only 6 of them, so it should be easily done for this project. So I apologize. The photometric plan, no matter what I did, it's really hard to read these numbers. It's just not very easy. So I'll just kind of walk you through as much as I can reading off of here. But on the underside, you're looking at the most intensity of those lights. And you can see these 6 black dots. Those are where those lights would be placed on the canopy. As you go further and further out, the photometric plan shows you that the light gets less intense to the point where you won't have that spill onto adjacent properties. And then again, we've added that condition to shield those lights to just try to reduce that glare and excessive brightness. In terms of parking and landscaping, there are 5 parking stalls that will be included in the improvements, one being a handicap stall that will have the required ramp up to the front entrance. There's going to be 3 temporary parking spaces for larger vehicles, RVs, cars that have a trailer that they're towing. Landscaping, they're required to have 5% landscape coverage. We have a condition that requires them to submit a parking and landscaping plan prior to issuance of a building permit that we review as a planning department. There's no additional cost associated with that, but they'll provide us with the plan and we'll look at the landscaping, make sure that it meets the site plan, make sure that it meets the 5% requirement. Perimeter landscaping is provided along the north and the west. I'm going to put up the site plan at the end so that we can kind of see visually all these different components. There is some internal landscaping as well, a little bit of buffering between the residential and the improvements. There's also areas where it will maintain its natural state of landscaping. Some trees are on the site that will remain, but they will be required to maintain that to prevent any sort of a fire hazard. And as I said before, 3 trees removed, 2 walnuts, and a cedar. In terms of access, there are 2 driveways that will go to the site, one off Highway 12 and one off Burson Road. These driveways must meet minimum commercial road approach standards. It is shown on the site plan, but they will also be further reviewed when they come in for encroachment permits to ensure that they are meeting those standards. Along Burson Road, there will be some additional pavement that you'll see or repaving. So it is conditioned to have on the project side of Burson Road a 12-foot travel lane and an 8-foot shoulder. On the opposite side, a 10-foot travel lane. Along Highway 12, there's currently an area that indicates no parking. Caltrans has stated that they wish to retain that no parking area, so that will, once all of the improvements are ripped out and the new stuff is put in, there will be a continued strip of area along Highway 12 that will be no parking. In terms of utilities, there is an existing well and a septic on the site. Environmental management reviewed the project. They asked for some additional information, and upon reviewing that, they determined that The existing facilities are suitable for the current use. There's no improvements that are required. In terms of stormwater treatment, there's a detention basin on site, and it's located in the southern portion of the property. Public Works has taken a look at that, and they concur that it is an appropriate size and location for that. So in terms of the site plan, I just kind of wanted to walk through everything first. So what we're looking at, all of this area that you see is landscape area. This is all the area that will retain open natural state. They're not looking to do any improvements there at this time. Right here, what you will see are the 3 oversized parking areas for an RV, a car with a trailer that they're towing. In this area are the 2 above ground tanks. They are surrounded by concrete filled bollards. They're required to be 10 feet from the property line and 20 feet from any structure. So in its current location, they do meet those setback requirements. In this area, you'll see the 5 new parking spaces, including the handicap stall and the required ramp that goes up to the front door. This is the existing single-family residence. It has its own door that it has an entrance to, and there'll be some signage here that will state that is private residence, do not enter that way, which will continue the flow of people to the front door where they currently enter. In terms of access, here's your access point off of Burson, access point off of Highway 12. At this time, Caltrans is not requiring any improvements onto Highway 12. They're requiring an encroachment permit process. They're going to take a look at the landscaping here, take a look at where he's proposing to do the signage. So he may need to, depending upon the signage, he may need to push it back a little bit, but in terms of landscaping, there's no proposal at this time to put any landscaping in that area that's going to impede visibility of that corner. We're talking about low-lying shrubs and that sort of thing, not trees. This whole area will be paved with concrete or with asphalt. At this time, the applicant's not looking for any additional site improvements other than what's being showed. It's not looking at expanding the store at this time or which would trigger additional parking and whatnot. So for this conditional use permit, we're looking at what is proposed. The canopy, the 4 fueling stations, which would include a total of 8 pumps, so it could accommodate 8 cars, and then the required landscaping. And then as we saw on the previous aerial, there's some buildings that would be removed. This building will stay, this will stay, and there's another shed. And those will be used for storage of materials for the store or for the residence itself. In terms of CEQA...
Hey, Darcy, I have just a quick question back on that map. What is the square, you kind of, the up towards the upper right? Keep going. No, now down. Straight across to your left.
That's the canopy.
That's the canopy.
So this is the canopy.
Okay.
And it will have 4 columns, which
Okay.
you can see here. There's the 4 columns. And then the fuel pumps are on each side of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So that's the canopy and the fuel.
So the whole project is moving over into that other, what used to be the landscape business. It's all
Right.
part of the same parcel, but that's going to
Right.
be included in part of
So
this project.
If you'll
Okay.
just bear with me for a moment.
Sure.
I did add some photos to the very end, and I think I may have added, which just kind of, and this is just a rough, obviously this isn't exact, but this is kind of where that new canopy will go.
Okay.
Obviously it's angled, it's not a complete square, but the new canopy is going to go in this area. These are removed, there's existing market. So if that gives you a little bit better idea
It does, thank
of
you.
where it's going to go. So in terms of CEQA, we prepared an initial study, determined it was a negative declaration was the appropriate document for this particular project. At the time of the staff report, we received 3 comment letters. Those comment letters didn't warrant any revisions to the document, didn't change significant levels. We have also received, which you did get some via email, yesterday. I think you received 2, and then today we just handed you a stack of some more letters on the project. It looks like what we handed you this morning, if you haven't had time to look at it, were letters supporting the project. So at this time, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission pass a motion to sign the resolution adopting the initial study negative declaration and approving the conditional use permit. I can answer any questions you may have. I believe the applicant and his representative are here, as well as Robert Packinger from Public Works to answer any traffic transportation questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Darcy?
I have one, and that is the fact that there's just 2 above-ground tanks. Does that mean they will not be servicing diesel fuel?
I don't believe they're doing diesel. I believe it's just
For
straight,
trucks
regular.
and cars or whatever?
Yes, but you can ask the applicant for sure.
With respect to the intersection of Burson Road and Highway 12, will anything about this project create a line of sight issue for people going either onto Burson Road or off of Burson Road that doesn't already exist?
Based upon the information that we received from Caltrans in their review, this project would not create a more difficulty in terms of any existing site conditions that they may have there. They have not asked for any additional improvements. The only thing that they've stated is that during the encroachment permit process, they'll review the signage and landscaping placement to ensure that there isn't any additional issues that are created from installing those new improvements.
If somebody's coming down Highway 12 from the east and wants to go into this gas station, they can turn left right into the station the way the access works. Is that right?
Coming from the east
Coming
or coming from
Going west or heading east?
heading west or heading east?
Heading west.
Yeah.
Heading west, they could turn left into the gas station, or they could go to the intersection, turn left, and then turn left again on Burson Road.
Okay, now if they turn left directly into the gas station, is there a left turn lane planned for that, or are they going to have to wait for oncoming traffic to go by them?
At this time, there's not a left pocket associated with this project.
Any more? No? Okay. So would the applicant or the applicant's agent like to discuss the project?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Mike Robertson with Robertson Engineering, and we represent the owner and applicant. And first of all, thank you to the community to come out and this morning and yourself in reviewing the city staff has really done an excellent job over the better part of a year and a half, getting a lot of the technical studies that were necessary to have a mitigated neg deck on this. And we basically support all that Darcy has said, and we support the conditions of approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I know there was some letters that I saw that were shared with us about the issue of the Burson Road turn onto the highway and the sight distance issue. And actually, it's going to be improved a little bit from what it is, in that this project will be doing a little bit of widening along Burson Road on the project side that includes a 10-foot lane where the double yellow line is now, and a 12-foot wide lane, which it isn't currently, so there's going to be some wider paving along there, and an 8-foot shoulder. So the width of Burson will be expanded, and furthermore, at the corner, the existing structure where people pull in to park there, part of the people parking there and the columns on that structure are part of the obstruction that is visible looking to the east, and that's intending to be removed at some point. And so that's because what's going to happen there is we'll have a new radius return that will be in that location and a 10-foot wide landscape strip with a new curb that prevents people from pulling in and parking in front of the store on the highway. And so that forces the traffic from, to go into the driveway, which is located to the east side of this property, and gets them away from the intersection, thereby creating better safety as a result of this project than what currently exists. The only other thing that I wanted to clarify is I believe I read in the conditions, I'm not sure if you can help me clarify this, but it said that the use permit was to expire December 31st, and I needed a clarification of that since this is a January hearing, and in the event that the project gets approved, I wonder if that's the current date. I'm not familiar with your specific municipal code and whether it ends on a calendar year or it's a 2-year approval from the date of the approval of the project. So just a little clarification to us would help. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have of me now, or after the public comment period, I'm happy to respond to any that you may have.
Do you have any questions of Mr. Roberts at this time?
Not yet.
Well, looking at the draft resolution, it says if not validated prior to December 31, 2017,
Correct.
the CUP shall expire. Does that answer your question?
Well, that's what it says. I'm wondering if that is the way.
if that's
That is accurate. The way our code is written, it expires at the end of the calendar year of the following
Following
year.
year
So
from
you
the
actually get
approval.
2 years. If you were approved in December, you would have only gotten a year, so.
Very good. That's
it's-
what,
it's-
I just needed that clarification because it is a little bit different in other communities. Thank you very much.
Sure.
What about delivery trucks of the materials for the store? Where do they park?
Yeah, they're going to be pulling into the site. There's a, do you see the pull-out areas there where the larger vehicles, thanks Darcy, the larger vehicle pull-out area, there's room for them to pull in at that point, be out of the way. It's also room for trailers, RVs, bigger vehicles, so that's where they would be parking. And then furthermore, the width of that band of pavement that's through there is wide enough for vehicles to pass and see. So that's the intent of that area.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would wish to discuss this project?
Hi, my name is Jamie Cole, 4977 Messing Road in Burson. I'd like to discuss as a community what I think that this location will actually do for our area. First off, talking about the safety concerns that you guys had specified coming from Burson Road, from Highway 12 turning in. I think that the way that they're doing the plan here, it's actually going to make it better. As it is right now, with the awning set up out front, having to park along the front right there, as well as there's a section in front of that awning that has do not park very visibly. People tend to park there all the time. It is an extreme hazard. I watched just yesterday as somebody did this. Now, somebody that is parked underneath of the awning or out up a little bit further where the actual buildings are residing right now, where the gas location will be, makes it very a visibility issue from somebody going west to east. I think that just the fact that they're going to change the front of that alone is going to make it a much safer location. Second of all, it's a situation that's needed. Having gas in the location right there. The reality of it is that Burson, if I'm going to be going down to the valley, heading it all the way down to Wallace, if I'm going to go to Wallace, I'm going to have enough gas to get down to Lockford. Now, if there was a gas station right here, which is 2 seconds down the road from my house, I'm going to stop there, which is in turn going to keep more money into Calaveras County. Aside from that, you had discussed whether or not a turn lane would be an issue. I'm going to take Wallace as an example. There's not a turn lane for Wallace. Wallace is on a curved road in a kind of odd location. So they've not had issues with a turn lane not being there before. I don't think that not having a turn lane at the Burson Market location is going to be an issue either. As far as an example of the business itself and the character of the business, I'm going to tell a story. My father couldn't be here today, but I think I should share this story because our community needs people in it that look out for each other. We're a small community, and anybody that is able to do that, I think that their business should grow here. One day, my dad was at the Burson Market, went to go do some shopping, left, said hello to Hani and was out of there. He came back a couple weeks later, and Hani said, "Hey, I have something for you." And he pulled out a $20 bill. My dad's like, "Well, what is this for?" He said, "You know what? I saw somebody that a $20 bill was on the ground. I went back and looked at my cameras and saw that it was yours, and I've been waiting for you to come back to the store so I could give it back to you." That reason alone, the fact that somebody could remember several weeks later that somebody dropped a $20 bill, and didn't pocket it, but gave it back to that person, really goes to state the integrity of the business itself. And I feel that in our community, somebody that does something like that, and it's, there's stories all over the people that talk about things that Hani have done for our community. I think that in itself is a good reason to let expansion and growth happen for a business. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gary Teixeira. Been a longtime resident of Burson off of 5955 Rain Dance Road.
Could you make sure you sign in too?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're going to have to excuse my handwriting.
That's
I had
okay.
an industrial accident and my nerves are shot.
That's
so
totally fine.
I will sign.
Thank you.
As far as the community of Burson, and I've been living up here and coming up here for over 35 years, and the growth within Valley Springs, and especially Burson's where I live now, it seems Burson has become a forgotten little community. With the growth that there is now and the proposal that Hani and his father have put before this board, it would, to me, would be economically sound for this Valley Springs and this community as far as money being brought into our community and expansion, and let alone the convenience for the people that live into Burson to travel all the way into Valley Springs or Wallace would be fantastic. Most of the people that live in my area are elderly people, and most of them are handicapped or whatever certain reasons they can't drive, and the convenience of having the store and the gas station, which would be highly, I think, economically sound for Burson because of the Lake Comanche, and when there is water in the lake, and the convenience for the campers and the recreation that this gas station and convenience store would draw from that one little section over there would be financially sound for this community. And I agree with everything this lady said here. The proposal, as it stands now at that intersection, the way they have it laid out here, it is a very dangerous intersection as it is now. And I think this would solve the problem, and like I said again, make it very convenient for the small little community of Burson that seems to be growing out there. I want to thank this board for giving me this time. Also, thanking, I don't know who in this board here, but putting the four-way stop sign on Pettinger and Rain Dance Road, I'm really grateful for it because it saved a lot of lives and accidents. Even though they're still running that stop sign there, I imagine it will take time. But I'm in full support of Hani and the whole project. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Larry Williams, and I live at 9843 Questo Road in Wallace. And I shop at the store in Burson, and I really appreciate their care of the community and their customer service. And they're just really great people. And I agree with this project, and I fully support it. And I just think that it's really, really a great idea. Having gasoline in that location will be an asset to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I'm Perry Willard. I'm a real estate broker in Valley Springs. I have known Hani for a while, but I couldn't agree more with what you said on the improvements to the facility, the improvements to that project, and how that will improve the line of sight there in that corner. I do think it's going to make a vast improvement in safety. The current facility that's there was probably built quite a few years ago. I think if you were approving that facility, you would say no, because it is a bit of a hazard there, and this will take care of some of that, those issues on that corner. So, you know, that's a good improvement. The words that she spoke about Hani and the $20 bill, I actually lost a $100 bill out there. So, but those are probably, there's probably, for every story that you hear about him, there's probably 100 more that you don't. That's just as good. He's been very kind to me. He's been very kind to my daughter that lived in one of my rentals out there. She's going through some stuff, and when he sees her, he talks to her and tries to help her along. He is a solid pillar in this community. And once again, I do think that we need more people like that. The service of the station and the expansion of the grocery market, I think will serve that community out there well. It will serve the Comanche recreational people as well too. And I do think that if you're leaving Valley Springs headed to the valley to go to work, like a lot of people do, that this will be a convenient place to stop and get some fuel, get some coffee in the morning, and, you know, travel on down the road. I'm not sure what I can say about it, but I do think that it's planned out well. I think you have an extremely good family running it, and I do think it does add some safety to that corner and to that stretch of highway. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Morning, Joyce Tekel. We moved up to Burson in '74, and I've operated a business there all these years. My husband used to commute to Stockton. He would travel from our address at Evans Road, down Highway 12, Burson Road, onto Highway 26 into Stockton. My sister helped at a ranch up on Burson Road for about 20 years. She went there twice a day, 7 days a week for 20 years. So I'm very familiar with that intersection. And I'm adding these comments to my earlier submission. Many years ago, when the Burson store had gas pumps on the premises, this location was very active, but then the population was about half what it is now. I believe having gas pumps available again will ensure that the Burson market remains a viable business. During slow economic times, Calaveras County, particularly this Tri-Dam area, has been an attractive, affordable location for the folks from the valley to escape and enjoy the outdoors. We need to plan to keep our highways and roads safe. And as you all know from listening to me for the last 30 years, the roads are what I care about. And I am worried about this. The downside is the change in traffic patterns along this stretch of State Highway 12. In my earlier comments to you, I spoke about double left turn pockets at the intersection and the line of sight issues involving the Burson Full Gospel Church. I neglected to consider the Burson Post Office. In San Andreas, there is a center turning lane through the busy part of town which allows non-turning traffic to continue at the posted speed. This might solve the concern for the post office traffic and could extend to the left turn pockets at the intersection. I apologize for not knowing the technical terms, and I hope I've made myself clear. Safety is the bottom line. This is a state highway, not a county road, and we need to treat it as such when building for the future. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Lou Mayhew. I'm passing around an overhead view of that intersection, and my concern about this project really centers on it's a hazardous intersection on traffic safety. If you take a look at the overhead, I've drawn a line from the left-hand corner of the church to the west. No, I'm sorry. It's I've drawn a line from where a vehicle would be positioned at Burson Road to the west, showing the line of sight. It is about 270 feet. So that is the travel distance that a vehicle will cover before it gets to the intersection. At 45 miles an hour, a vehicle covers that distance in 5.6 seconds. So a vehicle beginning a turn has 5.6 seconds to complete the turn or stop the turn before that vehicle reaches the intersection. Traffic frequently comes around there much faster. At 55, the reaction time of somebody beginning a turn to either aborting the turn turn or completing it is about 4.5 seconds. At 65 miles an hour, which I'm sure does occur, the reaction time for a person making the turn is 3.8 seconds. So I don't know what standards are for line of sight and highway access, but from driving that area for a good 12 years, I know it's a problem. I don't even like to use Burson Road because of the difficulty of making a turn there. Now, that is an existing condition, but this gas station store, I'm sure, is going to increase the traffic into and out of the project site. The landscape materials business that was there was not a come in and get it kind of store. It was take telephone orders, and then it stored materials, and the materials were delivered. So that really did not generate many trips at all. And the store also, while it did have some vehicle traffic, it was hardly noticeable. I think this new project will increase that considerably. And what that will do is exacerbate, make more complex, make more dangerous that line of sight problem. So the new facility will add to significantly the existing traffic difficulty. And when you combine that with what is probably the most frequently trafficked turn, the post office, which is, and I've drawn a line, another red line from what I think is going to be the SR-12 entry exit to the new project, to the entry exit of the drive into the post office. That isn't very far. That's just a couple hundred feet at best. So you're going to get all kinds of vehicles entering and exiting both of these facilities, making left turns from the post office. I would certainly hope that a left turn would not be allowed out of the gas station store. You just look at the short distance there. I think that is just asking for accidents. So anyway, it's making that intersection much more complex, and I think hazardous. I think conditions that could be added and should be added that would alleviate this would be somehow slow traffic to 35 miles an hour. Whether posting will do it or not, I don't know. I mean, this is a highway, and so I don't know the extent to which Caltrans or whoever really, or the county can impose a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. But if you can calm traffic to where it moves into that intersection, especially from the west, but also from the east, slow it down. Another thing to add emphasis to the difficulty in that intersection would be a flashing amber light, a caution light in the intersection. I don't think the new position of I don't think the changes to the site are going to improve the line of sight difficulty when you're trying to turn from Burson Road. And in fact, I think you can probably just use this map and estimate what line of sight will be from a vehicle exiting the gas station store and see it's not going to improve that a whole lot. So I think the line of sight is going to be about the same. The real problem is, and if you look at the map, I've got a little red line that shows the distance of the corner of the church from the Highway 12 lane. It's about 20 feet. That's not much. So that is really the thing that is causing the line of sight difficulty. Regarding the traffic study, I thought the traffic study that was done for this was flawed. It used an equipment, it made a comparison of existing traffic based on a convenience store and a construction equipment rental facility. Now, my experience is that's one where people come in and get equipment and rent equipment. There's a lot of traffic to it. That's not what was there. Yes.
You got just a
Okay.
few seconds left.
Oh, okay. So I guess I disagree significantly with the finding number 4 in your resolution, which says, the public and private roads providing access to the subject property meet necessary standards to provide safe and adequate access, or have been amended by conditions of the project approval to satisfy access requirements. I think that is untrue. And the way you make that true is to adopt additional conditions to improve traffic safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Darcy, would it be possible to put up that existing aerial of the project? Oh, excuse me. Colleen Platt with myvalleysprings.com. In the staff report, it didn't say that that awning was going to be removed, so this is the first I've heard of that. Is that correct, Darcy? Because it doesn't show that on the site plan one way or the other that I could
Right,
read.
the site plan doesn't indicate the awning was to be removed, so if it is to be removed, that is something.
That's new information. And I think I don't go by that intersection as often as the rest of the people who've spoken, but I have gone by in there and seen the awning out there and people park there, and that is a huge problem with sight distance there. So if that is to be removed, that's new information, and we're very happy about that. Thank you very much. It would have helped to have that shown in the staff report, so that would alleviate some of the sight distance concerns to the right. But I agree with Lou's point to the left. There is a very large building really close to the highway that obstructs your view, and the traffic does come around that curve at that building very fast. Very few people travel the speed limit there. And it is very dicey getting out there without getting creamed by somebody going around the corner. I've heard people that wait and wait and wait and wait, and if there's anybody even coming the other direction, or they just won't go out there. It's just too scary to do. So I don't know what to do about that. Like they said, it is an existing condition, not on this property, but it's a danger at that intersection. And I think I agree that this project, although it's a good project, it's a really good project, there's no question about that. The problem is it's probably going to be a successful project and have traffic there. It's going to be a successful business and have cars, and the gas station will have much more traffic than that existing landscape business, which really didn't generate any traffic at all to speak of. So I think that you can't say that traffic study was accurate. It was going by a hypothetical business out of a book and comparing it, and it didn't do an existing traffic study and what was there. So it will increase traffic. So I think that is something that anybody that thinks about that business will agree to. Not that we don't approve of the business. Again, we're just concerned about the safety at that intersection, and it's a big problem. And I thank Darcy for indulging me the last few days in all the emails. I sent her lots and lots of questions and emails about the condition of Highway 12 and where it was at with Caltrans standards and where we're at with the benefit basin and the left turn pockets and what's our progress and how come, and all this kind of stuff. So she went back and forth with Caltrans. And we got some answers from Caltrans, directly from Caltrans, which helped the situation. They had a suggestion, actually, and I don't know how this can happen. I don't know if this has to be through our Public Works Department or through Caltrans, or if you can put conditions. I don't understand the process, but one of their responses when I was asking about these left turn pockets and what will trigger construction because of safety concerns, Caltrans said, and this is Carl Baker with Caltrans District 10, he said they did a 2014 traffic investigation. And this is something Darcy wasn't aware of, and maybe Public Works isn't aware of either. But anyway, it's been done, according to Caltrans. They reviewed the intersection, and this is 2014, so this is pretty recent. And they recommended installation of, quote, cross-traffic does not stop, unquote, signs, and amber flashing beacons on existing intersection warning signs on State Route 12, and the addition of red flashing beacon signs on the stop signs at Burson Road. So obviously they're recognizing also that this is a very dangerous intersection from all directions because it's highly used and the speeds of things are fast. So I'm just asking a question. How can that be facilitated? How can we help facilitate something being done there to slow traffic down, make sure everybody's aware this is a four-way dangerous intersection? It's not the applicant's fault. They haven't done anything to create that situation, but probably there will be more traffic now due to this project that will exacerbate the safety issues there. So I don't know if there's anything you can do to condition the project, or Public Works can tell us where the status of the left turn lanes project is. Maybe they can come up with something, or you can come up with something to help that situation, because it is a dangerous intersection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ray Burhoff. I live by South Shore Lake Comanche, not in the lake, but a quarter mile from the gate. I've known Hani and his father since they bought the place. Something we haven't talked about is what they do for the community. If you're short of a little money and you need some groceries, they'll let you sign for it. The next thing, when they come in, they pay no interest. They just pay their bill. They are that way. They have been that way ever since I've met them, since they took over. They have helped our community. Now, where I live, to go to Wallace is 6 miles. Go to Valley Springs is 6 miles. I'm pushing 80 right now, so I don't know how long I'm going to be driving that way. So I can walk, if nothing else, or crawl, or use crutches or whatever, to get to Burson Market, because that's only 2 miles away. It's actually a little less than 2 miles away. That little store, that little convenience store, is a boon for our community. I don't have my hearing aids in, so I didn't hear what everybody was saying. But to me, that store is Burson. It's part of Burson, along with the post office. I heard traffic and ideas about traffic and everything else, but I'm sure that can be cured. Sometimes as little as simply putting on 4 stop signs could probably cure a lot of the problem. I've had my daughter hit down there years and years and years ago. She was coming from going towards the lake on Burson Road, and a car came around the corner. My daughter didn't see it because she got the trailer, she hit the boat that was pulling the car. So like I said, it can be fixed. Stop signs are great. That's all I have to say, except that these folks here are a boon to our community in more ways than one. So, thank you.
Thank you.
one other thing. I don't like to pay to get prices at the South Shore. I don't know if they get any, if the county gets any money from South Shore. But when they're charging over $5 for a gallon of gas, even today, and a pack or a 6-pack of soda for about $8. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Georgia Steiger, and I live at 5211 Ocala Road, and that's right in Burson. And I've lived there for over 20 years now, and almost every day I have gone to the Burson Market in that time and accessed it by coming off of the highway right onto Burson Road and the other access. And what they are the heart of Burson, these folks. And I think that they have put all the safety consideration into their new, I know they have, into their new plan. And what with that second opening or second access down further from the stop sign, I think is going to pull a lot of the traffic away from that stop sign, and there is much better visibility there. But what they are proposing is more conducive to people not using Burson Road as much as the other one. And I just support them 100%, and I look forward to this new project that they have going, because I can see the coffee club already solving the problems for Burson every morning while they're having coffee every day. So I just support it, so I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Morning. My name is Dale Wickman. I'm a resident in Burson, and I'm here to support the whole store. I think the most dangerous part of the intersection is the Burson Church there. Whenever you come out, I've almost been hit there a couple times, but I've never had a problem with the traffic flowing to the west, unless there's a truck parked in the no parking zone. It's really dangerous when there is one parked there. But I'm just here to support the whole market. I think it'd be a good thing for our community there. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Once again, my name is Gary Tuchera, longtime resident of Burson. First of all, from what I understand, this is a historic landmark, is it not? That's what I'm led to believe. I agree with this gentleman that spoke here. It is a tough intersection. Hani and his father, from seeing these project and the sites that they propose before, are trying to alleviate that problem there the best that they can. Progress is tough, and acceptance of it is another thing. The main concern at Burson Road is not their project, because they're doing the best to alleviate the problem. The problem exists with the church, Burson Church, where it's located. That is the main problem, is taking a left turn going down Highway 12 west. Again, I appreciate your time, and everyone's concerned about safety, so am I. And it is an issue, but I think Hani and his father have done a great idea as far as safety to alleviate the best that they can to alleviate the problem with their site. It's the site of Burson Church that could possibly help that intersection. Umpteen times I've come through there, and like I said, a long time back when I was a little bit younger, I used to come up here and water ski and fish, and it's not necessarily the people that live in Burson or Valley Springs. It's the people out of town that come through that intersection going 65 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, towing their boats, anxious to get to the lakes to go water skiing. That's just natural feeling, trying to get to your resort as quick as you possibly can. Again, I try to try to point out that their project would help that intersection somewhat, almost immensely. The main problem is that left turn, like this gentleman back here said, and that is Burson Church, so close to Highway 12. Other than that, again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. You've already spoken to. Is there something that you need to add?
Actually, there's one thing I really did forget to add, and I think that it's probably one of the most...
Just a couple of minutes, and could you please
It's going to be
state
very fast.
your name for the record?
Jamie Cole. One of the things that was not really discussed much, this gentleman did discuss about people coming into Comanche. I think that because Comanche, the majority of facilities to get gas and things like that are in Amador County. We don't see, unless somebody goes into Valley Springs, which if they're going to Comanche, they probably are not going to do. Burson Market will bring in a lot of tax revenue and a lot of funds into our area because it is an absolute gateway into Comanche from the other side. So that might be a way for Calaveras County to actually bring in a little bit more revenue as well. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you very much. Anyone else that hasn't spoken? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And actually, Mr. Packinger, perhaps you could address some of the issues that the concern about traffic and safety and line of sight and left turn pockets, center turn lanes. Also, there was some discussion I noted in the Caltrans letter about, the benefit basin and the RIM fees. And so perhaps you could shed some light on this.
Okay, Robert Packinger, Public Works. Let's start with the benefit basin and the RIM fee programs. That captures fees from development so that as growth occurs in the county, development is paying their fair share to mitigate or provide for projects due to traffic growth. In Valley Springs, the Valley Springs Benefit Basin had a list of projects. The list was developed years and years ago with things that Public Works felt would be potential future projects that we should start saving for from development. On that list of projects, there is a Burson Road left turn pocket project that's included. But just because the project is included on that list doesn't mean that the project needs to be built today. We're planning for the project to be built sometime in the future. When that is, we don't exactly know when. The science behind building left turn pockets has something to do with a thing that's called warrants. The warrants are a set of requirements that have to be met in order for a left turn pocket to be needed. Caltrans has looked at this in the past. To date, that we know of, the warrants have not been met, necessitating the need for a left turn pocket on that stretch of Highway 12. The project looked at that through the traffic analysis, and they concluded that there's really no change in traffic that would trigger the need for additional work there. So that's what's happening right there. Line of sight issues. The line of sight is direct.
Before you leave
Yes.
So are they required to contribute to the fees of the benefit basin?
Yes, every project that is that goes through the building department with a building permit is required to pay a rim fee and a benefit base.
And that includes this project?
That would include this project.
Okay.
Every project is
Okay.
subject to that. That's required by county code.
Okay.
No question there. So, line of sight issues, line of sight is directly related to the speed of traffic on the road. The faster the speed of traffic, the longer the line of sight is needed. So there is that the corner of the Burson Church that impedes to some extent the line of sight, but the speed of traffic is reduced to that in that area. If vehicles are moving too fast through that intersection, that becomes an enforcement issue. It's something that then the CHP is going to have to be out there and doing their part to enforce whatever the speed is that's set there. With respect to issues in that section, I remember, I would say perhaps a year or so ago, there was an accident where someone was trying to turn into the church that's just a little bit further down the street. Public Works corresponded with Caltrans and asked them to take a good look at that whole area of the road to see if there's something that could be done. They responded that there was some flashing beacons and things like that that they could do to improve the area. But perhaps with this project coming on board, although the planning side of Caltrans is aware of this, we could very easily send a letter to the traffic safety side of Caltrans and point out to them or request that they take another look at the intersection and see if there's any need for further action on their part to do something there. Is there anything else that you needed?
Actually, I had one, there was one suggestion, I think, about if you took a left turn in, you're heading west, you took a left turn into where the tanks, where the fueling pumps will be. Will most people likely, when they finish, go back out the same way they came in, or will they be directed to go, onto Burson Road up to the stop sign?
My understanding of the way the circulation was on that plan, traffic goes in and it goes out on Burson Road. Is that correct?
That would be the natural flow. If you came in that way, you're pointed that way, you're not necessarily going to back out. Your natural instinctive flow is to go out to Burson.
To Burson Road and to and so I guess my question is it safer if you were going to make a left, to make a left on coming back out from after getting your fuel, the same way you came in? Or is it safer taking a left at the stop sign? I don't know. And I don't know.
I don't remember that there was a left. Is there a left allowed out onto Highway 12?
There hasn't been any restrictions made by Caltrans that would prohibit somebody from making a left onto Highway 12.
Right, so coming back out, getting your fuel, making a U-turn, going back out.
If they wanted to do the U-turn, they could essentially go that way. There isn't, at this time, they have not put any restrictions on turning left out of that.
Well, I guess my point too, it seems like to me it might be like actually safer to take a left from that direction than if line of sight were an issue with the corner of the church.
Yes? Well, the level service is not no, not at all. This is, by the way, this person that spoke to me is Mr. Robertson. He's the engineer for the project.
Yes, he spoke earlier.
So the...
Oh, but thank you, for the record, thank you so much.
So that's not evident by looking at the way traffic patterns the way the traffic patterns are shown, because that intersection, there could be someone stopped there waiting for a left turn onto Burson Road also, so I couldn't answer that question.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions of Mr. Packinger? No?
As far as you know, the the footprint of the new store and service station is not going to interfere with any long-term plans that Caltrans has? I'd hate to have them have to move their service station 10 feet back or something a few years from now.
Yes, I couldn't answer to you what Caltrans was thinking. They had an opportunity to review this and weigh in on that. I couldn't answer you that. I could tell you that as far as Burson Road is concerned, they are providing that width of right-of-way 32 feet from the center line that would accommodate a future turn lane if necessary, at least their half of that project.
Thank you.
I would just say, I would certainly support a letter to Caltrans regarding this and asking them to take a second look at this intersection and possibly, the amber and the cross-traffic doesn't stop here. I think that would, I would certainly support
We could ask
that.
them to take a look at that speed and
Yes.
they've done those kinds of things. That's-
Yeah, I would agree if Caltrans has identified that, there are some fairly simple safety improvements that could be made there, that doesn't mean reconstructing the intersection. We meet with Caltrans on a monthly basis, and I'll bring that up at our next meeting with the area chief, Carl.
Thank you.
Oh, I think we should follow up with the letter as well,
Yes.
so it goes to the right people.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff, or you ready for the recommendation? Or
Well, I do have one question, which is, if this commission were to insert conditions into this approval, such as there must be a reduction in the speed limit on Highway 12 to 35 miles an hour, or there must be flashing caution lights or signs, and for whatever reason Caltrans doesn't do that, then doesn't the problem fall back on the applicant for not having complied with the conditions over something he has no control over?
well, I don't know that we could imply, we could set conditions over something that we don't have any control over.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Right. I would agree that I don't think that we can compel Caltrans to make improvements on their highway. We can, we required the applicant to provide information on the project to Caltrans. Caltrans weighed in and identified what they felt was appropriate. They're satisfied with the arrangement of the intersection and the encroachment. I think that blocking off that just sort of open pavement area from the corner all the way to where the driveway is now will help direct traffic quite a bit, and apparently Caltrans was satisfied with that. To impose a condition that says Caltrans will, because they'd have no right to install a flashing light or reduce the speed. That's something Caltrans would have to do. I don't think we have the authority to do that. But we can certainly work with them and try to encourage them to do that, and I think both Robert and I have stated that we will do that.
Okay, any other questions? Are you ready for the
Ready for
recommendation?
the recommendation?
Madam Chair, if I could just get a clarification from the agent. What I put for you up on the screen when I opened up the larger plan, there is an indication that the awning is there. There is a dash line that shows the awning. So if the intent is for that awning to be removed, we'd like to get that clarified because it doesn't state on the plans that it would be removed.
Okay. Mr. Roberts?
Mike Robertson again. Yes, the awning is coming out. It facilitates the landscape being placed at the corner. Potentially, we would be looking at future signing program for this that would come back through planning as an application for the whole property. I think I had one response to a question of, is it a historical building? It's not a registered historical building. The Cultural Resources Report and Study identified that it was built in 1924 by, I believe, a fellow by the name of Mr. Stage and his family. He was a local farmer, and it's been in been there since 1924, but it is not a registered historical building.
Thank you.
And lastly, I think a clarification, just to be very specific on what the Public Works Director said, because we actually reviewed this, and I appreciate the information on the site distance. Our office actually looked at site distance with the traffic engineer also, particularly to the left, and I didn't see his exhibit or the miles, but it does meet what's called Caltrans safe stopping standards with the design speed, with the speed that's posted out there. And I suspect that with the concern that the county has had and the previous accident references, they probably looked at that pretty closely and probably would have changed the posted speed limit had they felt that the safe stopping distance wasn't correct. And I think your approaches to going back to Caltrans and asking them about additional safety things would be prudent and worth doing and in the best interest of the community. Our client and the property owner are paying their fair share of those fees that would be implemented in any improvement project by the public sector. So I think that
Thank you.
is all I had to say, unless you had any other questions of me.
No, I don't think so. Thank you. Is that, you got what you need, Darcy?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Staff recommends the Planning Commission pass a motion to sign Resolution 2016-002, adopting the negative declaration and approving the conditional use permit 2014-028 for the Burson Market.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next up is is there any study session? No?
No.
Public comment period? Anyone wish to address the Planning Commission? Seeing no one? Any reports?
I think Mr. McManus he nodded.
Yeah, no, I don't think
Yeah.
he... Oh, you are? Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Sure. Okay.
I just have one thing I want to bring.
Okay. Mr. McManus.
I'd like to say good morning to the commission. I'm sorry that a couple of members aren't here. The comments that I have are meant for the entire commission and the planning department. As I've mentioned before, the work that this commission and the planning department does in many cases is extraordinary. And one of the major efforts that you've undertaken and made amazing progress on is the general plan. It's satisfying to know that it may soon be done. We can put that behind us, put it on the shelf, and move on to other pressing matters in the county. Again, I want to thank the Planning Department and the Planning Commission and each individual commissioner for the tremendous work they do on the general plan. However, I have some concerns now. After Tuesday's meeting with the Board of Supervisors, it appears as though there may be a chance, maybe a good chance, I don't know, it's kind of chaotic, that new marijuana laws, regulations, ordinances are going to be enacted in this county. I tried to alert the board some of the dangers and problems with that ordinance, which in some cases may, I don't know, absolutely ruin a lot of work you've done on the general plan. When we think about marijuana grows possibly being allowed in rural residential areas, the RR zoning code, that's disturbing. When we see that marijuana dispensaries may be allowed in virtually every commercial building in Calaveras County, that concerns me. What impact it has on the general plan, I'm not entirely sure. You probably have a better feel for that. But I would sure hate to see all of the work that's been done ruined by something that isn't going to benefit our county, isn't going to make our community any better, and takes us backwards on all the efforts and advancements and improvements that you all have made in the general plan. So I thank you for your efforts. I hope they're not going to be wasted, and hopefully we can move forward and get past this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you very much. Reports?
Just a couple things I wanted to mention to you. Our next meeting is next week. We'll be bringing back up the conservation open space element. I hope to have additional work for us so we can keep things going as rapidly as possible. I distributed to you a printout of when this room is available for additional meetings. We talked about that last time as far as possibly scheduling additional meetings. We'll wait till next week to discuss that with the full commission. The challenge for me will be to keep up with you guys if we hold a lot of extra meetings. It's just trying to keep things flowing, but we'll do what we can to get this moving along as quickly as we can. As Mr. McManus mentioned on Tuesday, the board had a hearing on a potential medical marijuana ordinance. They did not take any action. They continued it to February 16th. We're in an interesting situation right now with the state. The current state law requires that if we want to enact our own regulations, we have to have something in place before March 1st. The County Council prepared the ordinance as an urgency ordinance so that it could be effective immediately if they were to adopt it. There is legislation going through the legislature right now that could and is likely to eliminate that deadline, but it hasn't passed yet. It was, I guess it passed the Assembly and is at the Senate, or maybe vice versa, and then needs to be signed by the governor. The belief is within the next 10 days that would likely happen. If that's the case, the urgency provision goes away, and the ordinance, since it's a part of the zoning code, would then go through its normal review process, which would mean coming first to the Planning Commission. So I just want to give you a heads up that that's probably likely. Additionally, regardless of what happens, as with the disaster recovery ordinance, even though it's adopted as an urgency measure, we need to go back and adopt it as a permanent ordinance. So it ultimately will come through this body for consideration. So if the SB or AB 21 is passed, then we'll sort of change course. We'll get direction from the board on the 16th, and then route the ordinance through this body, and then for a recommendation to the board. If it doesn't pass, then the board has until the end of February to adopt something as an urgency measure, and then we'll work to refine it and bring it through here. So just want to give you a heads up on that to add to our menu of things to take care of.
Right. So are we going to have a full complement of commissioners next week?
I believe so. I think that was the reason why we didn't have any general plan activity until then.
Right, that's
because
what I was
it
just
back.
wondering, because I thought that one of them was going to be out for 2 meetings.
We talked about having a meeting last week.
That was it, so it was
That
the
was
last week and this week?
yes.
Okay, all right, great, great.
Anything else?
No,
I think
anything
that's it.
else? All right. Sure.
Is it just conservation and open space next year or general plan?
If I get anything else done, and I'm working on the return of the technical background report, as well as the circulation element. If I can get those done by Friday, I will get it out to everyone, and we'll continue our discussion on the next, whatever we have. Things have been really crazy the last couple of weeks, and I'm further behind than I would like to be, so I don't know if I'll be able to get that out by Friday. If I don't have it out by Friday, I don't want to rush things. I want to give everyone a chance to review it, so we'll then we'll go as far as we can next Thursday on conservation open space. If we finish it, that'll be the end of the day, and we'll pick up what's next the following meeting.
All right, thank you very much, and I think with that, we're adjourned. See you next week.
Okay.